morning. Yesterday, we read about Moses going up on Mount Sinai and seeing God and starting to get the 10 Commandments and the law. This is what's happening here. Remember, the day before yesterday, Jethro told Moses it would be an idea to set up people in charge of hundreds and fifties and 20s and 10s, I believe it said, or groups of each. What he meant was a leader, kind of like we have governors in each region. And then he gave the laws and about what should happen in every circumstance. And we read about quite a few different things yesterday. So if you want to go back and watch that video. God did try to talk to the people, but the people were afraid of God, so they just told Moses to interact, and then God called Moses back up on the mountain. And where we left off, it says that he was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. And the Lord spake, and this is chapter 25. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering of every man that giveth it willingly. And with his heart ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram's skin dyed red, and badger skin and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate." For now we're starting to see why every person was told to ask something precious of their neighbor. "According to all that I show thee, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it." So all these ingredients, all these materials are to build a tabernacle. And that's what they borrowed from their neighbors was for the gold and the silver and the onyx and the jewels needed to do what God is going to tell him to do. "And they shall make an ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold within, and without shalt thou overlay it, and shalt make it upon a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof. And 2 rings shall be in one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side of it. And thou shalt make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, and the ark may be borne, that the ark may be borne with them." And this is the Ark of the Covenant. "The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be taken from it. And thou shalt put it into the ark, the testimony which I shall give thee. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And thou shalt make 2 cherubims of gold. Of beaten work shalt thou make them in the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And make 1 cherub on one end, and 1 cherub on the other end, even of the mercy seat. Shall ye make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. And the cherubims shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings. And their faces shall look one to another. Towards the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in commandments unto the children of Israel. Thou shalt also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit the breadth thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make it hereunto a crown of gold round about it. And thou shalt make unto it a border of an handbreadth round about it, and thou shalt make a golden crown to the border thereof round about it. And thou shalt make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for the places of the staves to bear the table. And thou shalt make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And thou shalt make the dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof, to cover withal. Of pure gold shalt thou make them. And thou shalt set them upon the table showbread before me alway. And thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work should the candlestick be. And his staff, or his shaft, and his branches, his bowels, his knops, and his flower shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come of the sides of it. 3 branches of the candlestick out of one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side. That's a menorah. 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with the knot, and a flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knot and a flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of the candlesticks. And in the candlestick shall be 4 bowls like unto almonds, with their knops and their flowers. And there shall be a knot under 2 branches of the same, and a knot under 2 branches of the same, and a knot under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceedeth out of the candlestick. Their knops and their branches shall be the same, and it shall be one beaten work of pure gold. And thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the 7 lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof, shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it with all these vessels. And look that thou make them after their pattern, which was shown in thee in the mount. Now, a cubit, if I'm not mistaken, I've learned, is from your wrist to your elbow, and it differs from man to man. That was the measure of cubit. A talent is a form of weight, so I'm not sure how they measured that exactly. And that's how they knew how much of what to give. Like 50 cubits, they would go like this, and they would line them up. But every man's cubit measurer is just a little different, so it varied. It just depended on what people measured it out, on how big it actually turned out to be. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twisted linen, and blue and purple and scarlet. Now I'm going to stop here. We're going to go back to these colors. Why are blue and purple and scarlet so popular? Because those are colors when they didn't have a store that you could go get dye with. You couldn't just do that. They had to go out and collect items out of nature that carried the color that they want. Then they had to grind those down to extract the pigments out, and then they would mix it with a fat and turn it into a dye, kind of, and then they would have to go through a very long dyeing process of the cloth that they would make. And purple is a mix of red and blue, and these are 2 very hard colors, and blue's even harder to find in nature because it was so desired. They exhausted every source, literally. Butterflies, blue irises, they have 4 of them, just 4 of them left in the world that are alive. They have a handful of seeds put in an envelope in the sacred garden of the world, I believe is what it's called. It's where the world has come together and put a couple seeds from everything that they can find. And it's stored there with the idea that if something happens to the earth, that we can repopulate it. That's what the idea of it is. I haven't figured it out yet, because if our world gets destroyed, doesn't that garden get destroyed too? But okay. But this is why purple and scarlet and blue were so popular. Purple in particular, because it was a mix of the 2, and it cost a lot, and they didn't necessarily always have money, so they had to give up a lot of their goods or make a trade that would be expensive, or go into service for a while, like we were talking about yesterday. That was a form of payment, going to service. That's what a slave was when you talk about slaves in the New Testament. Purple and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. That's at 26. Now we're at verse 2. The length of one curtain shall be 8 and 20 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and one of every of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another. So all 5 of the curtains all the same size, and they all have to be hooked together. The other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another, hooked together. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and the likewise thou shalt make in the uttermost edge of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops thou shalt make in one curtain, and 50 loops thou shalt make in the edges of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And thou shalt make 50 tacks of gold. Couple the curtains together with the tackies, and it shall be one tabernacle. So what he's putting together builds the 4 walls all the way around. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle, even curtains that shalt thou make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. And the 11 curtains shall be all one measure. And thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And thou shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and the 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. And thou shalt make 50 tackies of brass, and put the tackies into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the remnant that remaineth of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle, and a cubit on one side, and a cubit on the other side of that which remaineth in the length of the curtains of the tent. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle, on this side and over on that side, to cover it. And thou shalt make a covering for the tent of ram skin, dyed red, and a covering above all badger's skin. And thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. And 2 tenons shall be there in one board, set in one order against another. Thus shalt thou make all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side there shall be 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle, westward, thou shalt make 6 boards, and 2 boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacle and the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards in their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle. And the 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall reach from end to end. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed thee in the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work. With cherubim shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood, overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang upon the veil under the tackies. Thou mayest bring in thither within the veil of the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy place. And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle towards the south. And thou shalt put the table on the north side, and thou shalt make a hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen wrought with needlework. And thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold. And thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. And thou shalt make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad, and the altar shall be 4 square. On the height thereof there shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans. All the vessel thereof thou shalt make of brass. And thou shalt make it for a grate of network of brass. And upon the net shalt thou make 4 brazen rings, and the 4 corners thereof. And thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath the net, may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. Hollow with boards shalt thou make it, as it was showed thee in the mount, and so they make it. And thou shalt make the court of the tabernacle for the south side southward. There shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen of 100 cubits long for one side, and 20 pillars thereof. And their 20 sockets shall be of brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise for the north and the side in length, there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and his 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of brass, and the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court, and on the west side, shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. And the hangings of one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be an hanging of 20 cubits, of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen wrought with needlework. And their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. And the pillars round about the court shall be filled with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height 5 cubits, of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. And all the vessels of the tabernacle in the service thereof, and in the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. And thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring thee pure olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamp to burn always, in the tabernacle of the congregation, without the veil, which is before the testimony. Aaron and his sons shall order it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute forever unto their generations, on the behalf of the children of Israel. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, and that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre, and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron, thy brother, and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. That they shall take gold, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and fine twined linen with cunning work. It shall have 2 shoulder pieces thereof joined together at the 2 edges thereof, and so it shall be joined together. And the curious girdle of the ephod, which is upon it, shall be of the same according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and grave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 of their name on the one stone, and on the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth, with the work of an engraver in the stone. Like the engravings of a signet shalt thou engrave the 2 stones with the names of the children of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be set in the ouches of gold. And thou shalt put in the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod 4 stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen. Thou shalt make it. 4 square it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And if I'm not mistaken, a span is as far as you can stretch from one arm to the other, from fingertip to fingertip. So when you put your arms out like this was a measurement of a span. 28:17. And thou shalt set in the settings of stones even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. And the 4th row, a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. And the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreathen work of pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold. And thou shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold into the rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt fasten in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make the 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them upon 2 ends of the breastplate in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. The 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and thou shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, towards the forepart thereof, over and against other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto thy holy place, for a memorial before the Lord continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod olive blue, and there shall be an hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of a habergeon, that it not be rent. And beneath upon them the hem of it thou shalt make pomegranates of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them, round about, and a golden bell and a pomegranate, and a golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his soul shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord. And when he cometh out, that he die not, and that he make a plate of pure gold, and grave upon it, like the engravings a signet, holiness to the Lord. And thou shalt put it on a blue lace, that it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront the mitre shall it be. And it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall always be upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's son thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles and bonnets, and thou shalt make for them for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons with him, and shalt anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And that thou shalt make the linen breeches to cover their nakedness, from the loins even unto the thighs, that they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come into the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. And this is the thing that thou shalt do unto them to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. Take one young bullock, and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread, and cakes unleavened, tempered with oil, and wafers unleavened, and anointed with oil. Of wheaten flour shalt thou make them, and thou shalt put them in one basket, and bring them in the basket with the bullock and the 2 rams. And Aaron his son shalt bring unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shalt wash them with water. And thou shalt take the garments, and put upon Aaron the coat, and the robe of the ephod, and the ephod, and the breastplate, and gird him with the curious girdle of the ephod. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. Then shalt thou take the anointing oil, and pour it upon his head, and anoint him. And thou shalt bring his sons, and put coats upon them. And thou shalt girt them with girdles, Aaron and his sons, and put the bonnets on them. And the priest's office shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. And thou shalt consecrate Aaron and his sons. And thou shalt cause a bullock to be brought before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the bullock. And thou shalt kill the bullock before the Lord by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And thou shalt take the blood of the bullock, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger, and pour all the blood beside the bottom of the altar. And thou shalt take all the fat that covereth the inwards, and the caul that is above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and burn them upon the altar. But the flesh of the bullock, and his skin, and his dung shalt thou burn with fire without the camp. It is a sin offering. Thou shalt also take 1 ram, and Aaron his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. And thou shalt slay the ram, And thou shalt take his blood and sprinkle it round about the altar. And thou shalt cut the ram in pieces, and wash the inwards of him, and his legs, and put them onto his pieces, and onto his head. And thou shalt burn the whole ram upon the altar. It is a burnt offering unto the Lord. It is a sweet savor, an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And thou shalt take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. Then thou shalt kill the ram, and take of his blood, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and upon the tip of the right ear of his sons, and upon the thumb of their right hand, and upon the great toe of their right foot, and sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And thou shalt take the blood that is upon the altar, and of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it upon Aaron, and upon his garments, and upon his sons, and upon the garments of his sons with him. And he shall be hallowed, and his garments, and his sons' garments with him. And thou shalt take of the ram the fat, the rump, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and the caul above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, in the right shoulder, for it is a ram of consecration. And 1 loaf of bread, and 1 cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer out of the basket of the unleavened bread that is before the Lord. And thou shalt put it all in the hands of Aaron, and in the hands of his sons, and shalt weave them for a wave offer, or shalt wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And thou shalt receive them of thy hands, and burn them upon the altar for a burnt offering, for a sweet savor before the Lord. It is an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And thou shalt take the breast of the ram of Aaron's consecration, and wave it for a wave offering before the Lord, and it shall be thy part. And all this that we're reading about is a ceremony that's going to ordain them. This isn't an all the time thing. And thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering, and the shoulder of the heave offering, which is waved, which is heaved up, of the ram of the consecration, even of that which is for Aaron, of that which is for his sons, and that it shall be Aaron and his sons by a statute forever from the children of Israel. For it is a heave offering, and it shall be an heave offering from the children of Israel of the sacrifice of their peace offerings, even their heave offering unto the Lord. And the holy garments of Aaron shall be his sons after him, to be anointed therein, and to be consecrated in them. And that the son that is priest in his stead shall put them on 7 days when he cometh into the tabernacle of the congregation, to minister in the holy place. And thou shalt take the ram of consecration, and seethe his flesh in the holy place. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram, and the bread that is in the basket, by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they shall eat those things wherein the atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them. But a stranger shall not eat thereof, because they are holy. And if aught the flesh of the consecration or the bread remain unto the morning, then thou shalt burn the remainder of it with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. And thus shalt thou do unto Aaron and to his sons, according to all things which I have commanded thee. 7 days shalt thou consecrate them, and thou shalt offer every day a bullock for a sin offering for atonement, and thou shalt cleanse the altar when thou hast made an atonement for it, and thou shalt anoint it to sanctify it. 7 days thou shalt make an atonement for the altar, and sanctify it, and it shall be an altar most holy. Whatsoever toucheth the altar shall be holy. Now this is that which thou shalt offer upon the altar: 2 lambs of the first year, day by day continually. 1 lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb thou shalt offer at even. And with the 1 lamb 1/10 deal of flour, mingled with the 4th part of it an hin of beaten oil, and the 4th part of an hin of wine, for a drink offering. And that's apparently a hin is a measurement of liquid. And the other lamb thou shalt offer at even, and shalt do thereto according to the meat offering of the morning, and according to the drink offering thereof for a sweet savor, an offering made by fire unto the Lord. This shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, where I will meet you, to speak there unto thee. And there I will meet with the children of Israel, and the tabernacle shall be sanctified by my glory. And I will sanctify the tabernacle of the congregation, and the altar I will sanctify also, both Aaron and his sons to minister to me in the priest's office. And I will dwell among the children of Israel, and I will be their God. And they shall know that I am the Lord their God, that brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, that I may dwell among them. I am the Lord their God. And thou shalt make an altar to burn incense upon of shittim wood. Shalt thou make it? A cubit shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof. 4 squares shall it be, and 2 cubits shall be the height thereof. The horns thereof shall be of the same. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, the top thereof and the sides thereof, round about the horns thereof. And thou shalt make unto it a crown of gold round about. And 2 golden rings shalt thou make to it under the crown of it, by the 2 corners thereof it, up unto the sides of it shalt thou make it. And they shall be for places for the staves to bear it withal. And thou shalt make of the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put it before the veil that is in the ark of the testimony, before the mercy seat that is over the testimony, where I will meet with thee. And Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning, when he dresseth the lamps. He shall burn incense upon it. And when Aaron lighteth the lamps at even, he shall burn incense upon it, a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall offer no strange incense thereon, nor burnt sacrifice, nor meat offering, neither shall ye pour drink offering thereon. And Aaron shall make an atonement upon the horns of it once a year, with the blood of the sin offering of atonements. Once in a year shall he make atonement upon it throughout your generations. It is most holy unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, When thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their numbers, then they shall give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord. Then thou numberest them, that there be no plague among them, when thou numberest them. This they shall give every one that passeth among them, that are numbered, 1/2 shekel after 1/2 shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerals. Like, that really helps us too much, but 1/2 shekel shall be the offering of the Lord. Every one that passeth among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto the Lord. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than 1/2 shekel, when they give an offering unto the Lord to make an atonement for your souls. And thou shalt take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shalt appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before the Lord, to make an atonement for your souls. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thou shalt also make a laver, L-A-V-E-R, laver of brass, and his foot also of brass, to wash withal, and thou shalt put it between the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar, and thou shalt put water therein. For Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet thereat, when they go into the tabernacle of the congregation. They shall wash with water, that they die not. And when they come near to the altar to minister, to burn offering made by fire unto the Lord. So they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they die not. And it shall be a statute forever to them, even to him and to his seed throughout their generations. Moreover, the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Take thou also unto 3 principal spices, of pure myrrh 500 shekels, and of sweet cinnamon half so much, even 250 shekels, and of sweet calamus 250 shekels, and of cassia 500 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, and of oil, olive, and hin. And thou shalt make of it an oil of holy anointment, an anointment compound after the art of the apothecary, and it shall be an holy anointing oil. And thou shalt anoint the tabernacle of the congregation therewith, and the ark of the testimony, and the table and all his vessels, and the candlestick and his vessels, and the altar of the incense, and the altar of burnt offering with all his vessels, and the laver and his foot. And thou shalt sanctify them, that they may be most holy. Whatsoever toucheth them shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint Aaron and his sons, and consecrate them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, This shall be an holy anointing oil unto me throughout your generations. Upon man's flesh shall it not be poured, neither shall ye make any other like it, after the composition of it. It is holy, and it shall be holy unto you. Whosoever compoundeth any like it, or whosoever putteth any of it upon a stranger, shall even be cut off from his people. And the Lord said unto Moses, Take unto thee sweet spices, stace, and onycha, and galbanum. These sweet spices with pure frankincense of each shall there be a like weight. And thou shalt make it a perfume, a confection that the art of the apothecary tempered together pure and holy. And thou shalt beat some of it very small, and put it before the testimony in the tabernacle of the congregation, where I will meet with thee. It shall be unto you most holy. And as for the perfume which thou shalt make, ye shall not make to yourselves according to the composition thereof. It shall be unto thee holy for the Lord. Whosoever shall make like unto that to smell hereto shall even be cut off from his people. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, and in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, to devise cunning works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in cutting of stones, to set them in carving of timber, to work in all manner of workmanship. And I, behold, have given with him Aholiab, the son of Eshemach, the tribe of Dan. And in the hearts of all that were wise-hearted I have put wisdom, that they may make all that I have commanded thee. So even then they were given talents. Each one of them knew how to do this before they even knew what they were doing. The tabernacle of the congregation, and the ark of the testimony, and the mercy seat that is thereupon, and all the furniture of the tabernacle, and the table and his furniture, and the pure candlestick with all his furniture, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering, which all his furniture, and the laver and his foot, and the cloths of service, and the holy garments, for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons to minister in the priest's office, and the anointing oil and sweet incense for the holy place, according to all that I have commanded thee shall they do. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, But in the 7th is a Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of the communing with him upon the mountains of Sinai, 2 tablets of testimony, tables of the stone, written with the finger of God. And there we are for today. Now we're starting to see everything come together. It's a lot, isn't it? He gave a lot of rules. But that's what he went up there to learn, and that's what he taught all the people, the judgments, the dealings, how to handle with it. The appropriate people got knowledge. It was very smart that Jethro said separate people down, and then God started to edify what each person needed to know to make it all work. He's still up on the mountain learning all this. So tomorrow we'll see what happens when he decides to go tell the people what all they need to do. God bless you and have a good day.